York City, and I'm trying out something a little new today. I'm trying to broadcast, number one, outside, having my laptop connected to my phone, so we'll see how that works. And I'm also going to do a slideshow slash narration of some of the towns that I've seen around Texas, and we'll see if you have any questions. And next time I may walk us around downtown and show you a little bit about Kerrville, where we live now. This is my wife's hometown. And I see already that Pat has joined. And Pat, I think you said somewhere in your broadcast that you preferred Pat over Patrick, or one way or the other. I can't remember which though. So unless I see a correction, I'm just going to call you Pat. That's okay. And if I remember also, you're from Chicago. So this is quite a bit different from Chicago. I'm from New York. And what I thought I'd do first is, there's Trudy, there's Diane. Excellent to see some friends here. This is where I moved from. Okay. That's a view. Some of you may remember me from Periscope years ago. I started broadcasting. That's fine. And by the way, you guys, if the audio video is not working, just comment here. I'm looking at my phone, which is easier to look at your comments than the broadcast studio. So some of you may remember me as Mead on Manhattan on Periscope. There's actually a reason behind that title. I'm terrible at naming things, but the reason for that username has a little bit to do with my fascination with cities and towns, which is there was Margaret Mead, as some of you know. She was, among other things, a sociologist, anthropologist, and so forth. And she said that cities are places where women and men should come together and basically, I can't remember the actual quote, basically do amazing things where women and men come together and the best of them comes out and creates the best possible culture. Something to that effect. But that's what I do believe the gathering of people can do and should do. So this is, you'll see my little thing there that I did, along the way taking photos. So what you're looking at there in the inset photo is actually, you remember that, Trudy? Is actually looking from Brooklyn Heights in the promenade to Lower Manhattan in the financial district. And you might be able to see, if I stack this, let me see if I can see it. You can't quite make it out, but the Brooklyn Bridge is off to the right of that inset photo. Those of you who saw Moonstruck, that movie years ago with Cher, Nicolas Cage, that was set essentially in this neighborhood right there in Brooklyn Heights, Cobble Hill, or so, that area. That's where I lived for a couple of years, but I grew up on the Upper East Side of New York. So now I live in downtown Kerrville, and what would be Texas if we didn't have a little bit of rodeo? So one of the things that we all hear about rodeos, and actually I've been to the Houston Rodeo, which is apparently the biggest rodeo in the world. At least they like to claim that. In fact, everything in Texas, including Texas itself, is the biggest of fill in the blank. And Houston has a huge rodeo, but we also have local rodeos around Texas. And here north of Kerrville, which is where we live, which is about an hour north of San Antonio, north of Kerrville, about 20-25 minutes, is a little town called Hunt. And in Hunt, we have a local rodeo. And so that's actually a picture of the rodeo that I didn't take. The rest of these, I think, pretty much I took. And they do things like, the bull riding, bronco busting, the barrel racing that the women do. And the kids do something called mutton busting, which is essentially they get on the back of these little sheep and they kind of hold on to the sides of the sheep. They get a helmet on. For little kids, literally like 5, 6, 7 years old, and they see how long they can stay on. Again, these are Texans, and Texan kids grow up tough. Ours grew up in New York City, and they tried this when they were little-ish. And actually, my middle son came in second, which is pretty good. He won $20. So Trudy's been to the rodeo in Colorado Springs. Excellent. Okay, I'm just saying hi to everyone else. My heart belongs to Yahweh. Yeshua. Oh yeah. Okay, I remember you from Perry. Excellent. Okay, so we'll do away with the rodeo. Let me get a little bit to the area here. I'll show you one of the things that that Kerrville is known for, essentially, which is, and I'm gonna make this actually the only photo for now. Let me see if I can do this. Okay, so what you're looking at now is a drone shot of Gibson's. Gibson's is, and there's only one other one in Texas. It used to be a chain of about 100 or more, and they just made some bad business deals. In fact, there was one point, there was a business deal that almost went down between the originator of Gibson's and Sam Walton of Walmart. And it went south, and Gibson's basically could have kept a lot more of its locations than it did. And if I recall, they made some bad licensing deals and franchising deals, and they lost out a lot of their stores. So they were pretty big in, I think, the 20s and 30s, and now they're down to two. One is in Corpus Christi, and one is here in Kerrville. And you're looking at the drone shot of the one here in Kerrville, and basically it's like your old-time general store. So they sell like gardening equipment up front. They sell, like wheelbarrows and hose, and you go in there, and to the right you've got some clothing and some dishes and cookware, and then the back they have the locksmith. To the back left they've got firearms and ammunition and fishing gear and Bowie knives and all that kind of stuff. And they have some toys there too, to the sort of the front left. So that's Gibson's. Let me pull in another. Now this is where we live. And let me make that bigger. This is a section of town. Yeah, and so I see that, let me see who this gentleman is here. Oops, I can't see because I think he's either watching on Twitter or Periscope. It's CLC. The username is CLA, like C Lagwin. I see that DSpace30 asked, do they sell ivermectin? I have no idea, but I don't doubt it. They sell just about everything. So what you're looking at now is a shot that I took. And if you can see it, I don't know how it's coming across on your screen. It's got that kind of godlight, they call it, where it's kind of streaming through the clouds. And we get a lot of that here. But this is south of town where we live. And one of the things that many of you know is that Texas is not only big, but a lot of the areas, even though this is called the hill country, are pretty flat. And we don't get tornadoes here, but it makes for some beautiful sunrises and sunsets. This is probably about, this is during a summer month, probably about an hour and a half before sunset. So the sun sets like right over the middle of your photograph. And that's kind of one of the beautiful parts about Texas. So yeah, thanks. It is really pretty. So another part of my little area here, and one thing I had to learn was Friday night football. So this is the proverbial Friday Night Lights. If any of you saw that show on whatever it was, AMC or something. Maybe it was on a network originally. This is Tybee High School here in Kerrville, which is in the division that is one below the top division. I don't know high school divisions that well, but let's just say it was 5AA. We're at 5A. Yeah, thanks, Arch. I don't know if I should call you something different. I know you by your username, Arch Parrish. But this is Tybee High School on some Friday night. This is obviously let me see, we're in December. This is fall of last year, 2019. Before COVID hit. You obviously wouldn't see this now, but as some of you probably would not be surprised, Texas pretty much gets up and running before a lot of places around the country. And every Friday night at 7 p.m., the high school seniors play here. The varsity, the junior varsity plays on Thursdays. And then, of course, you've got your college football on Saturdays and your NFL on Sundays. So it's pretty much Thursday through Sunday you got your football. And I see that Cammie just joined from Naples. I assume that's Naples, Florida. I think I remember you from Naples, Florida. Hey, Cammie. So that's fun. I mean, I'm not a big football fan, but there's nothing like, high school game. The crowds there. You got your concessions. You buy concessions there. Your hot dog and your soda, and all the money goes to like the team's jerseys and things like that. And we have a pretty good team. Again, I don't follow football, but we've got a pretty good team. Those of you who follow pro football, Johnny Manziel came out of Tybee High School. Unfortunately, he ran into some trouble in the NFL. But that's one of the fun aspects of Kerrville. So let me pull that photo down. And I'm going to bring you a little bit outside of the area here to show you. Actually, I'm going to show you this. This is kind of a cool house that was next to where I lived when I first moved down. It's hard to make out, but what you're looking at is I used, yeah, thanks, Trudy. I took almost all these. The one that I didn't take was the Kreider rodeo shot and then the drone shot. The rest of these I took myself and manipulated them. As I did with this one, I used like a tilt shift. I turned the color into black and white, and I used a tilt shift app or whatever feature. And this is a house that they've got this cool like lawn architecture sculpture. So it looks like a bunch of junk, but they change it slightly every now and then. But it's this fascinating blend of like, an old wood stove and one of those big tubs, planters, all sorts of stuff, a bicycle, things like that, and they put them in their front yard and arrange it. So while it might look like junk in anyone else's yard, it looks like beautiful zero-scape, architecture slash art, if you will. So let's move on. Now I'm going to try to bring you a little bit outside of Kerrville. Now, some of you might know that Texas, being so big, has just about a little bit of everything in terms of towns. And this is one building in a town about an hour and 10 minutes away from here called London, Texas. London, Texas. And I write about some of these on my website, which has turned a little bit more political lately. So if you go there, don't be shocked. It has turned into political conversation as of late. I'll probably weave stuff about towns back in there, but our national situation in this country really, I thought, bore some sort of commentary. And I felt like I was getting tone deaf with talking about all sorts of little matters when there were such big conversations that I felt strongly about. But in any event, at some point, you've got to pay attention to the simple, beautiful things around you. And I found this little building very, very beautiful. London, Texas does not even have a stop sign. So you sort of breeze through town at 30, 35 miles an hour. And actually, let me pull up this. And I will stack this against that. So the photo on the right is on the road just south of London, and that's one of the first mesas you see on the left of the screen there. Yeah, thanks, Arj. If you're talking about London, yeah, it's a very cool little town. I don't have a lot of photos here queued up for you, but it is very cool. And hello back to Bannerman from Gulfport. And so, Owen, sorry, I'm seeing some of the comments now about the previous photo of that sort of yard architecture. And I can go back some other time about that. So you see this mesa come up as you enter town from the south, and then all of a sudden you see this. You see a series of buildings. I should have uploaded a couple others, but it used to be a fairly successful, thriving town, because just south of there was a river crossing, and a lot of the cattle were moved from one place to another, and London made a lot of money from cattle. And there was also an oil company that had a presence there called Dayton Oil Company that was from not from Dayton, Ohio, but was another part of Texas. And that chain has since gone out or whatever. So that's London. And across the street from that is another series of buildings that are old but are being rebuilt. And there's the London Dance Hall that's just to the right of this building if you were to look at it. And this building in particular, I was looking at it, and I'm going to just do an inset here so I can chat with some of you a little bit more personally. Come on. This isn't responding to me. Come on. Well, it's not letting me do... Oh, I know why it's not doing. Forgive me. Hold on. See, I thought I had this thing wired. Now let me make that the inset. Hold on just a second. I would say technical difficulties, but it's human difficulties. Okay, so I was standing in front of this building and taking a, and thanks for the awards, Randy, appreciate that. I was taking a photo of this, and a guy came up to me, and I thought he was going to tell me to stop taking a photo of that. I thought he was going to be angry at me. I mean, it's just a building. It's not like I'm taking a picture of some family walking along. And he struck up a conversation, and this was probably earlier this summer, or maybe last summer. It was a nice, warm summer day. And the guy was talking to me. He had just purchased this building, and he owned a number of other buildings. There were only like 7 buildings in the whole town. And he owned them, and he was turning this one into a B&B. And apparently there was a very wealthy couple from Austin, Texas, which is 2 hours east of here, that purchased another couple buildings and are turning them into kind of remote, kind of not Airbnb so much, but really cool boutique lodges. Because as people move out from cities, especially now in COVID, and want a place to retreat, this area of Texas and the country, London, Texas, would be beautiful to see. Let me just check out. Yeah, me too, Arj. I'm a sucker for historical sites. This one in particular is both historical and kind of it's kind of one of these beautiful broken down places that may have a second life, and I hope that it gets renovated into something close to the original. I think this could. So let me get rid of that photo and bring in another one. So, so not too far from there is, of course, the prerequisite, this is for breakfast. Okay, this is your country fried steak on the lower left with gravy. It is your eggs over easy on your lower right, your grits, which is actually not a typical Texas thing. I first had my first grits in North Carolina. And then, of course, your biscuits, not 1, but 2 biscuits. This is breakfast. And you can get this for about $7. And I think I got this in Harper, Texas, which is only about 20, 30 minutes away from Kerrville. But I think I had this en route to London, Texas. So let me put myself back up there. Take that out. All right, so that was, I told myself that I would try to eat better, but I tell you, Texas food is hard to beat. I have not checked out the Baker Hotel in Mineral Wells, and I sense that you are from either Texas or the Southeast, Arj. I don't know where you are, if you are a Texan living elsewhere or currently in Texas or someone else. It's not a trading post. But if you're talking about London, now they've got like no economy, but it was really oil and cattle drives, and apparently you could see the dust for miles in the old, the late 1800s, early 1900s. The cattle being driven across, the dust was just, in a huge cloud. Okay, let me see what's next. Oh, okay, so here is a photo of a town that I wanted to visit on the way back from, in Dallas, okay. And you're referring to London. Gotcha. So this was a town, so Arj may know a lot about these places, and you can feel free to correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But we took our son, we moved him out to Ruidoso, New Mexico earlier in the summer. He has since moved back and is going to move to New York City on January 4, of all places. I'm from New York City. I think New York City is a crazy place to move to now, but that's what he wants to do. 2 of his buddies are living there, so hey, he's almost 22, he's a legal adult, and I'm in consultant mode, not manager mode. So on the way back from Ruidoso, when we moved him out there, I saw this town, and hello back to Tossed, looks like Tossed About from Grants Pass. So I saw this on the map. I'm like, oh man, I gotta go there. Iran, Texas, even though they must pronounce it differently. Well, so it's a tiny little town. We got there at night, at like 9 o'clock at night or something. And it was just like, basically like there were stop signs, there were lights there. So it's not a tiny little town, but it's a little over 1,200 people. But this is pronounced Ira Ann, and it's named after a couple named Ira and something or other. And they basically founded this town. They're probably involved in oil, but it's pronounced Ira Ann, Texas, not Iran. But we have just about everything else. Paris, Texas, London, Texas. Someone told me last night, what was the name of it? Oh, there's an Italy, Texas. Okay, there's an Italy, Texas. And I have not checked out the Moody Mansion. I've heard of it in Galveston. I've actually, I'm a surfer, and I've been living here now for almost 3 years. I've been coming here for a couple decades, and I've still never surfed the Texas coast, which bothers me to no end. Okay, so I'm going to take you down to one more place for now. Toss 3 Doubt. Yeah, I just couldn't figure out how to pronounce it quickly enough. I still may be mispronouncing it. There's Yassine. How you doing? I'm not going to say from St. Petersburg, Russia again. Texan Cat. Oh, yeah. Hey there. How are you? Good to see you. I know you from Perry, or you're looking on Perry now because I see the little blue thing. So next we're going to go to Tarpley, Texas, which this is a dance hall, a bar and dance hall. And I took a couple of close-ups, and you can't really see it here, but it is kind of corrugated tin siding, and it's all kind of rusted in the right places. It's beautiful, and good to meet you too. Tossed. I guess it's tossed out with the 3 being the E, right? Tossed out. Okay, all right, I got it now. I'm a little bit slow sometimes. And hello back, Texan Cat. So this is Tarpley. This is one of those, not only is this not a stop sign town, like I've got towns from everything from no stop sign towns to stop sign towns to like one light towns to small towns, small cities, and cities. I think about it like that, from New York City. This is not only not a no stop sign town, you're flying through this town at like 55 miles an hour because it's on the way to, of all things, Utopia, Texas. And this is on your left-hand side if you're going from Kerrville to Utopia, which takes you about, if I recall, 75 minutes, maybe 90 minutes to get there. And this is the dance hall. Just before this, on your right, is a really good Tex-Mex restaurant that I've wanted to go to, but it wasn't open when we went through here. When we went through here, I think this was, I want to say it was early summer. I could be wrong, or it was late last year. I think it was at a time when it was still okay to go into places and not wear a mask and so forth. Okay, yeah, Tossed Out. Enjoy your day. Yeah, it's true. Texan Cat, small towns reminds us of how slow it used to be. I definitely had to adjust myself when I moved from New York City to here, even though I'd been visiting here. Living here is something different. And I could swear that when I came back from Utopia to Kerrville, driving through the other way, so this is on the right, and this would be kind of southwest of Kerrville, if I'm not mistaken, or west of Kerrville. I could have sworn that I saw an eagle fly overhead. I know there are eagles elsewhere in Texas. I think they're east of us, but I could swear I saw an eagle. It was pretty cool, I gotta say. It was pretty amazing. I've only seen an eagle one other time in my life up in New York in the country there. Oh, hey there, Kim. How you doing? So let's see. I think that might be the last photo I've got for you. And I may, oh, here's one. Okay, shameless promotion. Shameless promotion. This is me wearing the AmericaDowntown.com t-shirt. It's made out of that really soft kind of gray fabric. You're looking across at, you're actually looking across, I could show you. Let's see, pick this up. You're looking across like over my shoulder, whoops, over the other shoulder, kind of right down here, right down there is where you're looking. This is really, Kerrville's a pretty small town, if any of you have been here. I'm standing on Earl Garrett Street, that's where I'm standing in the photo, and I'm just trying to get rid of some of these extra shirts I've got. So I think if you go to my website, I've got the price, but I'm willing to give them away almost for like 2 to 1. They're super soft, and you know, it's not like you're going to get oohs and ahs if you wear them in public or anything. But hey, Green Eyes, and hey, Yana from Seattle, excellent. Art says promote the hell out of it. I know. She and I were talking earlier on Twitter about the rightness, really, of starting a small business because, hey, you know, the turn of the 19th to the 20th century, almost everyone was a small business owner, right? So, well, I don't really expect to monetize this app so much, but I think it's fun to have kind of your own thing. My wife's an artist, sells a lot of her artwork in the gallery that's behind me in that photo, well, upper left side of the photograph. There is the gallery that sells my wife's paintings, among other places. She's sold them all around the country. But so Green Eye says Periscope is better than Haps. There's some aspects I like more, but in terms of my running this actually is, I don't know, it's more fun for me to show you stuff. And last night I did a broadcast that I had a colleague from the Philippines. He was in Dumaguete in the Philippines. And then I showed a video, which, you know, you can't do in Periscope. So that's why I really like this. Yes, Kim, she's abstract expressionist painter. So if you go to my website, there's those T-shirts, and if you just shoot me, you know, send a tweet to me, find me some other way, or shoot me. I think there's a way to contact me. Tell me that you saw it here, and I'll give you 2 for 1, and shipping's included. I think it's like I think I've got them for like 19 bucks, and that included shipping. And my cost is $10, I think, $11 per shirt. And I'll just be upfront with you. So I'm just trying to get rid of inventory. So we've got smalls, mediums, larges, and I'll do 2 for 1 and include shipping in that. So will you scope and Twitter? Green Eyes, I think I've got Twitter connected. I've got Periscope, Twitter. But Periscope is both, it says that it's connected, even though it says it's taken a few days to get approval. But then I've seen it that it's been on Periscope. So Periscope, Twitter, I think my Facebook account I connected, so it should be on my America Downtown page and Facebook. And so all those things should be, synced. The only thing I don't have, and I'm not sure I'm going to get, is YouTube. Texan Cat is asking, anyone visit Kerrville, Texas, visit the 70-foot cross. That is here. It is pretty much, I think it's the highest point in Texas. I've been there. I mean, it's not the highest point in Texas, highest point in Kerrville. I've been there a couple times. It's got a beautiful overview. There's some cool features to it, and I know a lot of people go there. And it's this 6-foot wide slot between the 2 supporting beams to it, and people go there and pray. It's really very relaxing. And Kim saying, I can't believe people are still doing that. Oh, yeah, right. Cockfighting. Well, a side story, when I was a kid, before I knew how incredibly cruel it is, and not, yes, cruel to the birds, absolutely, but also what it does to the human spirit, soul. It's awful that we would look at that and find it to be entertaining and something we want to bet on, like dogfighting. Awful for us. But my grandfather was a breeder of illegal gamecocks. So super smart guy, lived in New England, retired at age 45. He had a couple of car dealerships, fought in World War I, that kind of thing. So that kind of mindset, very entrepreneurial. However, he bred illegal gamecocks and sold them all over the world, including the Philippines. So it is very sad. It is horrible. I agree with what everyone's saying, with what Jan is saying. So what I think Kim was referring to, and yeah, Kim was the one who brought it up. Last night, I had my colleague in Dumaguete, because we work for an organization called International Care Ministries, and I was doing kind of a fundraiser expose on the Philippines. We work in ultra-poor communities in the middle and bottom part of the Philippines, which are called the Visayas and Mindanao. And it's some of the poorest areas in the world. People live on less than 50 cents a day per person. So that's about 25% of what the UN says is extreme poverty. We work with them, and we've reached about 1.2, 1.3 million people, and help them have hope by hearing about God's love, and help them get healthier with medical intervention and training, and then help them start savings groups so they can start businesses, which is really what helps them get out of poverty. But we're essentially giving them hope so they can look toward a better future. And that's where we heard about the gamecocks and the cockfighting. Yeah, it's awful. Which, by the way, I got to change my setting if I do this again. I put in certain words to the block category that we can do, and I only like 2 or 3 words, but when we talk about certain animal fighting in this category, that word was blocked. So that's why I've got to go back and loosen up those restrictions if we're going to talk about some of the illegal gambling, activities. Texan Cat's been to Lakey, Texas, which I learned was pronounced Lakey, not Leaky. The Frio River is great to go tubing in. Hey, Texas Cat. Okay, great. Thanks. See you later, too. And as you can tell, maybe as a final farewell, I'm wearing my Texas Tech sweatshirt. It's, I think, the only red outerwear that I own. I pretty much have all my clothes are still black from New York, or different colors, but not red. Oh, the bullfighting's awful. Yeah, bullfighting too, Kim, is awful. I mean, there's certainly no shortage of ways that we treat animals that are horrendous, and I think slowly, hopefully over time, that's changing. She says, I hope, let me see if I can highlight this. I hope you don't mind. Can you put this up as a public comment? So I'm just going to say that I'm not unsympathetic with it. It's like bullfighting. I always hope the humans get hurt or killed. Yeah, it's kind of like you kind of want a little bit of, even playing field for the bull, and I kind of think, anyway, yeah, I'm not unsympathetic with that idea. But my son was going to Texas Tech, my middle son. Everything got shut down in spring because of COVID, so he's back here working full time. We're not sure if he's going to go back there or not. That's why I have a Texas Tech sweatshirt. All right, well, next time I'm going to show you the sort of the downtown area of Kerrville. I'll walk you around. And if there's any sort of Christmas stuff around here, I may show you that as well. But this today was just kind of a slideshow of some of the photos that I've taken. Small number of photos I've taken from my site. I've actually got 2 websites. One is americadowntown.com, and the other is biscuitisle.com. And that's really more of my, except for lately, I've gotten so roused up by what's going on in our country. But generally, that's where I channel all my creative writing efforts, not my political side, which is more the America downtown. But I'm going to get back into the towns and stuff. I think all of us here in the country, which I think includes most of us on this comment thread, are just kind of astounded at what's going on. Kim, enjoy your day too. And for the rest of you, thank you for joining, and I will see you some more on apps.